Hello, and welcome to San Lando Sound Waves. I'm Tom Penny, and this is week 18, day 89. And today we are reading again from the book of Joshua, chapter 8, verses 30 through 35. Then Joshua built on Mount Ebal an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the Israelites. He built it according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of uncut stones on which no iron tool had been used. On it they offered to the Lord burnt offerings and sacrificed fellowship offerings. There, in the presence of the Israelites, Joshua wrote on stories a copy of the law of Moses. All the Israelites, with their elders, officials, and judges, were standing on both sides of the ark of the covenant of the Lord. They were facing the Levitical priests who carried it. Both the foreigners living among them, and the native-born were there. Half of the people stood in front of Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had formally commanded, when he gave instructions to bless the people of Israel. Afterward, Joshua read all the words of the law, the blessings and the curses, just as it is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses had commanded that Joshua did not read to the whole assembly of Israel, including the women and children, and the foreigners who lived among them. Now let's read and reflect on our 7 arrows or 7 questions. Number 1, what does this passage say? Number 2, what did this passage mean to its original audience? Number 3, what does this passage tell us about God? Number 4, what does this passage tell us about humanity? Number 5, what does this passage demand of me? Number 6, how does this passage change the way I relate to people? And number 7, what does this passage prompt me to pray to God? Now let's read a brief devotional about this passage from our book, The 7 Arrows. Now occupying the land, Joseph led the people to renew their commitment to God and His Word. You should notice that everything the people did was exactly what God had already told them to do. They offered sacrifices on an altar in the land. They plastered the blessings and curses on 2 mountains. They even read the law in presence of all the people, calling one another to obedience. They began this new stage in the nation's story with obedience and worship. This scene, combined with the fall of Jericho, provides the framework for what we should expect to continue reading in the coming books. That is, if the people keep their promises and walk faithfully with God. They trusted God in battle and were victorious. As they continued faithfully keeping His word, they experienced God's blessings in this new land. Trust and obedience are to be the defining characteristic of God's people, both in the time of the nation of Israel and in our day as well. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you will tune in again tomorrow.